Hey, good afternoon, 8th graders. Today I'm going to guide you through our steps for getting ready to learn a little bit more about Autodesk Revit. First, you want to begin by finding our course in Schoology and going to your assignment labeled Intro to Revit Shed Edit. In the top part of the directions, you will find the link for shedforediting.rvt. If you click on that in a new tab in Schoology, you will get a window that comes up, and you should be directed right to the center of the window where you're going to click on Download. The download will begin. You know that you've downloaded the video. Sorry, not the video, the file, because it shows up down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Once you've downloaded, you can open up Autodesk Revit. I already have Revit open in the background, and I clicked on it down on the bottom part of my screen. I also already have my shed open, but I'm going to quickly review where you'll find that once you're in Revit. To find it, you're going to go up to the word File, and you'll click on Open. Revit will not automatically know where your information went. You're probably going to have to go into your downloads folder because that's where it defaults when we download onto the computers in the lab. So I'm going to go here. My downloads folder is a little bit buried inside my computer. Here is my downloads folder. Now the path for you to find your downloads folder might be a little bit different. If you're stuck and you don't see it off to the side and you can't find in your drop down, just call me over and I'll help you. I'm going to open up my shed for editing by double clicking on it. Now that I have it open in Revit, it's kind of confusing because you're going to see right here 2 floors on my video, but you won't see 2 floors on yours. So to make your life a little easier, I'm just going to close out the other file that I had open. Now that you have it open, the next step is really important. So when you come back and you log in on your computer the next time you're in class, you can actually find it, because we found that the downloads folder on the computers in the lab is cleared every time you log out. So the next step you're going to want to do is go to File, choose Save As, and you're going to save your project. Now it's going to default back to that same last location. So here's where it's so important that you click on the top box where it says Save In, and in the list you don't find your folder that has your first name and your last name. You find in this list your login name. Now my computer is set up slightly different from yours, so my login name looks like my first name and my last name, but your login name is going to look like your first 5 of your last name, your first 5 of your first name, your middle initial, and 00, also known as your H drive. You're going to want to save it in there, and your folders will be really small. You're going to either see a desktop folder or a documents folder. You don't even have to go inside any of those folders. You can just save it right into your H drive. Now my computer is set up completely different from yours, so I'm just going to click on Cancel. So you're not thinking that I'm going to save it in that location. Now that you have your stuff saved to your H drive, the next most important thing to do is over here under View Scale, you want to change your view scale. We did this on Friday, but I just want to clarify for those of you who may have lost your work because it didn't save to the H drive. We're going to change from the 1/8 of an inch equals a foot scale to the 1/4 of an inch equals a foot scale, and we're going to click on Apply. Now, not a whole lot is going to be happening, but when we go to further on in the video, it's going to make a huge difference that you set up your view scale. Now that we have our view scale set up, we're correctly saved, we are just going to fool around with a couple of the settings here. First thing I want you to do, because most people are most curious about this, we're going to go to the View tab. Notice that there's lots of tabs up on the top, very similar when you were in 6th grade and you were doing Autodesk Inventor. This is still an Autodesk program, so it's still very similar. We want to find the View tab. In the View tab, that's where we can go to 3D View, and we can get a view of what our shed is going to look like from a 3D perspective. Notice that after we click on 3D View, a new tab is going to open. So I can still go back to my floor plan, and then I can go back to my 3D view. That's a little bit different from Autodesk Inventor. We don't switch back and forth in Inventor, but in Revit we do. Now that we're in this 3D view, I want you to take these weird dotted lines and we're going to scoot those in closer, which again, this is going to be really important later on down the road. I'm just going to move them in, not running into the shed, but closer. So that's my bottom level. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my top level. Right now, this is not making a whole lot of sense. It's not super important. But again, when we go to print, this step is going to be really important. So I've moved in those dotted lines. As long as they're closer, I'm good to go. Now I'm going to go back over to my floor, and I'm just going to do a file save. Since I've already saved it to my H drive, and I've already saved it, I'm not ever going to get another visual confirmation coming up on my screen. In our next video, I'm going to show you how to get zoomed in on our floor plan, and I'm going to show you how to play around with the dimension tool and add in some windows to our shed.